back, Cats in Camo. We are reviewing the Coonan 357 Magnum semi-auto pistol. Whoever said go big or go home was talking to Dan Coonan from Minnesota, who decided he wanted the power of a 357 in a semi-auto. So we have a fun gun today. We ended episode 1 shooting paper and steel torso. We're starting this episode off with the steel challenge. So there are 7 targets here. Conveniently enough, this gun holds 7 rounds. So the goal here, we have 1 torso set out at 10 yards, torso target, 5 zombie heads, torso target, 7 targets, 7 rounds. Let's see if I'm up to Coonan standards. 357 Magnum. I'm out. I want to shoot more.
All right, everyone. Now it's my turn to shoot the Coonan 357, but instead of shooting steel, I'm going to be shooting bowling pins.
Honestly, we have no idea what this 357 Magnum is going to do to the bowling pins, so this may be the last time that you see bowling pins on Allie's obstacle course of doom. We may be replacing our set. Here we go, Mr. Coonan. I hope we do this proud. Allie, this is a monster gun. You have tiny hands. I'm going to chamber it for you. Okay. As the phrase is, cocked and locked. You're loaded and ready to go.
I rock this cannon. All right, everyone, we are back from the range with our Coonan 357. Big gun.
Big gun. Big gun. And she's giggling because it's a big gun shooting 357 Magnum rounds, and yet it was fun. It was fun. So let's talk about scoring for this gun. Again, 8 categories with a scoring range of 1 through 5. Category number 1, comfort of grip. This is a big gun, and it's not that it's thick, but the grips are long because it's holding 357 Magnum rounds, and that's a revolver round. It's long. It's a long cartridge. For all that it seems like when you first pick it up, you're gonna have a hard time putting it in your hands. Granted, I have really big hands, so I felt like this gun was kind of made for me, and Mr. Coonan should just send me one for my hands. It's comfortable to hold. I wasn't expecting it to be as comfortable as it is. I actually really like just holding and pointing the gun. Seems very natural and effortless. I give it a 4.
When I first picked up the gun, it did seem kind of heavy. Just because, I mean, it's 42 ounces. I mean, that's not light.
It's over 2.5 pounds.
Right. But once I got out onto the range to shoot it, it didn't seem that bad. Now, granted, it was cold out. I had gloves on, and that could compensate a little bit for, again, the grips are a bit kind of stubbly. I don't know. So maybe it would have felt different shooting it barehanded, like in normal weather. But still, for the most part, it did seem, for a large gun and small hands, it did actually seem to be fairly comfortable. So I gave it a 4.
Well, let's talk about the sights. The front blade sight on this kind of stands up. It's really easy to pick up the sights with this gun. I really like that. And so I actually gave it a 4.
There are 3-dot white sights. There's nothing special about them to me. They seem industry standard. They seem like regular sights. 3 out of 5.
We're going to talk about the trigger. I love this trigger. It is amazingly consistent and even and solid. I haven't shot a gun that has a trigger exactly like it before or since, and I'm still kind of in awe of this trigger. I would like to find a way to put this trigger in some of the other guns that I own, because I can't afford this one. But I'm giving this trigger a 5.
I liked the trigger on this gun as well, and it did exceed my expectations. I was able to find a nice pull on it. It wasn't too short, it wasn't too hair trigger, and it wasn't a long pull. It was a nice trigger. It worked well with me with shooting it. I felt confident with it, so it did exceed my expectations, so 4 out of 5.
All right, now let's talk about perceived recoil. One of the amazing things about this being put in semi-auto, where you have a slide that cycles and helps absorb recoil, when you combine that with the fact the gun weighs 42 ounces, you have no recoil in this. This gun, when you shoot it, feels easier, more controllable, and easier to do follow-up shots than almost any 45 that I've shot. I'm giving it a 5. It's a marvel of engineering for that.
When he told me that a 357 Magnum was basically like shooting a cannon out of a handgun, it was a little intimidating to going in there being like, okay, I'm expecting like a 45 feel to it, or more than a 45, and 45s are a little intimidating for me. But then I got to shoot it, and I'm like, oh, that's not that bad. You know, kind of like what you were saying. It's like, I can shoot this. This is, I mean, yeah, there's recoil to it. There's gonna be. I mean, because of the high caliber, but because of the way it's built and the framing and everything, it absorbs a lot of it really nicely. So it did exceed my expectations. So I'm giving it a 4.
Let's talk accuracy. You watched me shoot this. I may have just been overexcited. It may have been that it was cold. It may have been that the point of aim on this gun is different than a lot of the other ones that we were reviewing at the same time, and I just didn't adjust well enough. But I did not shoot this nearly as well as I would have liked, and I know from reading other reviews and watching other videos on this gun, it is a highly accurate firearm. It didn't perform that way for me out on the range, so I have to give it a 3.
No, I feel like for once I shot this gun better than he did, or a gun better than he did, and it was actually kind of cool. I mean, I've watched him shoot and overlap shots, and it's so cool. It's like, yeah, bam, bam. When I was shooting paper, I got to overlap shots with this gun, and it was so exciting. And I shot it well on my specialty course too, so I'm gonna give it a 4.
Well, let's talk about ease of reload, as the magazines have to be stacked at an angle when you load the rounds. It does make it harder to reload. You can't do it fast. It's not a drop the magazine, slap the next one in and go kind of thing. It's slower. You have to look. You have to angle the magazine to make sure it goes in properly. And the magazines being flat like that, a lot of times when you go to push them in, they won't seat completely, and you have to push on either the front of the rim or actually put your thumb on to get it in. I'm giving it a 2 on this part.
Every single time I tried to put a new magazine in, it stuck at the same spot every time, and I'd have to hit it again to get it to work. But I also had trouble with the release button. For me, it was harder to press. Again, it could be small hands.
Small hands had a lot to do with that.
Yeah, it's not convenient for me. It's not what I want it to be. So I did also give it a 2.
Let's talk about reliability. This gun has 0 reliability issues. You give it that nice high grip where the 1911 kind of sits in your hands, and you shoot this gun, it's going to function properly. I really liked it. It worked great. It ran clean. I'm giving it a 4 just because I had a little bit limited sample size. I would have given it a 5 if I got to shoot it more. Hint, hint. Let me keep it. Send me ammo. But I gave it a 4.
The reliability of this gun did exceed my expectations. Being a 357 Magnum, I was actually expecting it to be, I don't know, a little less reliable. I don't know. It just, because there's that, again, you're putting this really high Magnum into a pistol. I was almost expecting there to be some issues with it, and there wasn't, and that's awesome. So it just gives you that a little bit more confidence, like, yeah, I can do this, I can shoot this Magnum in this gun, and I can rely on it. So 4 out of 5 is also what I gave it.
All right, well, let's talk about the last thing. Ease of maintenance and cleaning. I actually like the things that they did internally with this gun. So when you take it apart, it's a little bit easier than the average 1911. I like the fact that with the button on the end of the, you don't need a tool to take this down. You can do it by hand. You can press that in with your thumb and turn the bushing. So I actually gave it a 3.
Too many parts.
Did you catch the emphasis? It should be quotation marks.
Too many parts. If that hasn't given it away already, I'm giving this a 2.
Okay, well, let's add it up. And I gave this a total score of 30.
When you add up my score, it comes out to a 27.
The MSRP on this gun, without night sights and just starting where it's at, is $1,849.
Oh my gosh.
And to be honest with you, the normal price for this version, the black Duracoat with the aluminum grips, it's gonna run you about $1,650 minimum. If you get down into the $1,500 range, you got a really good deal on this gun for current prices. If you bought one 5 years ago, don't throw that in the comment section going, I paid $1,379 for it, because in 2012 you could find them for that. 2017 is a different animal, and I know because I keep looking.
So thank you again for stopping by, and stay tuned because we are going to be reviewing more guns coming up soon. See you then.